But yeah, welcome to Imperial Grace, everyone. This is a visual novel. It is developed by Storia, if I recall. The publisher, or published by Abiding Bridge, to be exact. Alrighty then, if you're new, if you're not, subscribe, like, comment down below. Let's get started. Alright. There was an option in the settings where it would fade to black or something if there was any suggestive content. But you know me, I'm always with the suggestive content. Okay, let's stop right there. The game is intended for a mature audience. It's alright. I think my audience is mature enough. I'm hoping. Honestly speaking, the complete list of trigger warnings is available in our store page. Oh, wow. You're going to play a demo version of the game? Oh, yeah, alright. Yeah, I agree. So demos, once again, guys and gals. You know, they'll give you some expectations on what you'll see, but that doesn't guarantee that you'll see everything from the demo. Or maybe there's more stuff, of course, compared to the demo. Either way, show me some tips. I love tips. I'll say, okay, alright, you can fasten text in settings. Several accessibility are available in the options for gaming comfort, especially if you're dyslexic, photosensitive, or epileptic. Okay, accessibility features. That's nice. So don't hesitate to check the corresponding functions. You can check your resources from the extra menu at any time. Have fun. Alright, I'll have fun. We'll go with... Ooh, wait. There are choices here. Normal mode or story mode. Most likely, I would pick story mode if we're gonna go for a full playthrough. Let's go with the normal mode. I want to be gripped. Not IRL, but the edge of my seat. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so her name is Lydia. They're most likely changing the name, but for now, I don't know. Okay. We have loved fighting since we've got an army. We've got we've got knowledge, right? Diplomacy and eloquence or money. Alright, we're gonna go with the money option. This is normal mode. Customizations on this screen will not be reflected in the CG. The match option adapts your outfit to the illustration. Someone's outside for some reason. It's 10:40 p.m. That's kind of funny. To change your outfit during the game, click on extra outfit. Or extra then outfit. Okay. Dressing. Switch outfit. Okay. Formal. Casual. Let's go with formal. Ooh, is this legit? We can pick hair. Wait a minute. I'm just like tripping. I like this. Oh my goodness. Alright, there we go. Prologue. Your grace or grace. A panic voice resonated in my dream like an echo. A few moments before I understood that it came from somewhere else and woke up with a jolt disoriented. The palpable feeling of urgency had immediately brought me to my senses, but it still took me a few seconds to recognize the advisor's voice, as well as the room I was in. Alden, what's going on? Alden de Valbleu. Your Highness, I bring terrible news. Your father was assassinated last night. I was ready to hear just about anything, honestly. Managing crisis was an important part of royalty after all. And yet I was completely stunned by the news. My father was dead, the hands of an assassin, no doubt. Just a few rooms away from me. Well, that's pretty wild to think about. We just started with royalty stuff, and boom, bam, we're about to be. It's like one of those like medieval kingdom royalty kind of shows where sometimes it starts with in the middle of succession, and usually a lot of people will die. Right? All the implications from this revelation bounced through my head, drenched in doubt and fear concerning my own security and the future of the realm of Calidya. I beg your pardon, Your Highness. I was too late. Alexander? We're gonna bang? Pulling myself out of my lethargy, I looked down on Alexander, who knelt next to the bed, his head bent low as if the weight of his shame stopped him from getting up. Whatever went down, I knew he had nothing to be ashamed of. When I was just a child, I already admired his talents, and they grew steadfast with age in the position of general. His presence here was a relief. I didn't know the assassin's full intentions, but even if they were after me, as long as Alexander was by my side, I didn't have anything to worry about. Don't put yourself down like this. You aren't responsible for what happened. We'll bring the regicide to justice. Killing of royalty? Yup, regicide. Still mortified, Alexander stayed on his knees. I could see his fingers twitch a little. Proof he wasn't completely convinced, but he nodded his approval all the same, transported by the firmness of my voice. This could be the thumbnail. I know, yes, I'll also check the press kit, of course, the one they sent to me to see some of the images. Either way, I'm just picking my battles, you know what I'm saying? As for me, now that I had said out loud, I felt the information had settled in my mind, and I finally accepted it as truth. Damn! She is like, I think, kinda next in line. I don't know. Feels like she's one of those characters where clearly she studied enough. Okay, this ain't your first rodeo. My father, Magnus the 5th, Emperor of Calidya, was dead. Is it Khalid or Salid? Nah, there's no way. Salid sounds like it's a salad of some sort. Either way, many would have broken down after hearing such news. But for years now, I hadn't held an ounce of affection for him. His death was actually good news to me. It marked the beginning of a new era, a better one, I hope. An era for which I'd been preparing for ever since I realized that this was my destiny. I was to succeed him. I was to become the Empress, but it wasn't yet time for celebration. Although I was a legitimate heir to the throne, I had plenty of detractors. And I still needed to figure out why the assassination had taken place. I had many questions about the killer's identity and motivations. I was lost in thought, and it took me a while to realize that Alden and Alexander were staring at me, worried, surely awaiting a reaction or declaration from me. Both had known me since my early childhood. They knew the enmity I felt for the Emperor, and I trusted them enough to set all pretenses aside. But it was perhaps a bit inappropriate to rejoice over my future title while my father's dead corpse was still warm. Wait, we're the Emperor now? Oh my. After taking a deep breath, I threw off my covers and got up, eyeing them. Oh no. Gotta stay neutral. Clothing seemed a tad indecent, but I could at least spare myself the pretense of being the grieving orphan that I would surely need to be in front of the court. What I feel isn't important. You don't have to worry about it. What matters most is our nation, and we all know that the sudden death of an emperor is a delicate situation. At the moment, the most important thing is to preserve the kingdom's stability. I'm counting on you to protect and serve me. This won't be an easy task, but I'm sure we can accomplish great things. This time Alexander got up. Damn, this guy's kinda hot. Putting his hand on his sheath in a dignified and military posture. At your service, Highness. May the four witness my oath. I solemnly swear that I will protect you until my dying breath. Alright everyone, you heard him? You heard him, he said that. I did not force the guy to make an oath. Empathetic, he bowed down before lifting his eyes up to me. I smiled and accepted his allegiance with a certain poise, despite my unkempt hair and my nightgown. Marjorie, my tutor, often told me that everything about me showed nobility, that I did not need any props to act like the Empress. Today I understood what she had meant. Alden, however, did not seem to share the general's fervor. Forgive me, Your Majesty, for tarnishing your enthusiasm, but there's a very delicate question that I have to ask. Does it bounce? Okay, have you had your father killed? His abrupt question threw me off, and I stared at him, wavering between surprise and indignation. How dare you even suggest such a possibility? You're going too far, advisor. Come on, don't be offended. You said it yourself. You've hated your father since the death of your brother. You've always held him responsible for it. And your father dies on the very day of your return to the palace? Whatever your answer is, I'll accept it, but I need to know. I felt anger rise within me at these words, and I walked to the window to breathe some fresh air. After I took a few deep inhales, I finally turned around to face him and give him my answer in a firm voice. On the one hand, my presence here isn't a coincidence. The Emperor celebrates, or rather was about to celebrate, his birthday in 2 days. Half the Empire's noblemen are here. It's undeniable that the event presented a perfect opportunity to strike. The palace is swarming with unknown guards and servants. It's much harder to provide security in these circumstances. Exactly. On the other hand, your suspicions are an insult to my intelligence, advisor. After regicide, the heir is always suspected. If I had really wanted to speed up fate, you better believe I would have been smarter about it. Marjorie taught me the rules of the game. I would never risk losing everything in such a foolish way. I know my ascension to the throne will already be difficult because I'm a woman. A hot one. I'll state it plainly if it can relieve your doubts, but listen closely because I will not repeat myself. No, I did not have my father assassinated. My eyes trained on him. I crossed my arms, almost daring him to contradict me as I kept a lid on my fury. Fury? I almost said furry, what the fuck? Alden seems to gauge me for a moment, then nodded in assent and apology. Please forgive me, Your Grace. As soon as possible, I lit the Master of Murmurs, and we launched an investigation to uncover the truth and bring justice to her father. I would have preferred more vivid regrets, but under the circumstances, this was enough, and I felt my anger slowly fade away. I accept your apology. Let's not speak of this again. There are more urgent things to do. The news will no doubt make quite a commotion. You've asked us to swear allegiance to you. I assume you will try to claim your rightful place as heir, Your Grace? I was about to say something stupid. Yes, it's my destiny, of course. I heaved a deep sigh and mustered all my determination to answer him without leaving any doubts as to what my intentions. I realized a while ago that this was my destiny. Whether I like it or not, I don't really have a choice, and I'm not one to do things half-heartedly. I know there aren't many people in the direct line of succession. But if you truly don't want to, I believe one of your bastard brothers would do the trick. You know full well that my cousin, she's like a Uthred, son of Uthred. Destiny is all, you know what I'm saying? I think in the Last Kingdom series, yes. He's a Saxon raised by the Danes. I think so, or is it quite? Either way. You know full well that my cousins would covet the position. This would mean the start of a succession war that would drown the kingdom in fire and blood. Even if by some miracle the nobility came out in favor for one of my half-brothers, there's no guarantee that it would all go well. They know nothing of politics. They'd be nothing more than puppets, or even worse, incompetent fools. By birth, I have a responsibility to the people of this country, and I don't intend to shirk, okay? In any case, even if I were to retire to my estate to manage it, I would still be a potential threat to their reign. I'll never be safe, even if I were to completely relinquish my right to the throne. There's no doubt about it, I have to be the next empress. Only time will tell, but I think I'm the best possible choice under the circumstances. I don't doubt that, Your Grace. In fact, I'm rather relieved to see you have already thought about it. Like you said, our country needs stability. We can't get away with a weak-willed monarch on the throne. I'm sure you'll be a wonderful empress, Lydia. His words were barely a whisper, but I was sure what I had heard, and I felt my cheeks redden a little. He seemed embarrassed by his own boldness and blushed more violently than me, while I flashed him a smile to reassure him. Whoa, we're flashing smiles now? Censored. It had been years since I had last heard him call me by my name. Even if I had no doubts about my own abilities, it was always refreshing to see the trust he gave me. I cleared my throat and regained my composure so I could give my orders. This would be a long night. Who else knows about the assassination for now? Alexander seemed surprised by my question and frowned a bit while searching his mind. When I found the body, I immediately went to warn the advisor, and both of us rushed to see you. The only ones who know about it are the guards who were patrolling with me and your father's personal maid, who was passing by. We knew it would be bad to attract attention, so I had her discreetly sent to the dungeon for interrogation. How about the guards who were stationed before my father's door? Both are dead. I also had their corpses taken to the dungeon for examination. I paced the room, lost deep in thought. So, is my trusted general about to clap my cheeks? What is this? You've done well. Now we have to keep it all a secret. It's imperative that no one else hears about it. Okay, Your Grace. This won't be an easy secret to keep. Obviously, we won't be able to do that forever. I only need a few days so I can stay ahead of my detractors. Alden looked thoughtful for a few moments, then he nodded. I see, so you want to act before everyone else, which should give you the upper hand. Exactly. Very smart. I have no doubt that some people will want to take advantage of the situation. Even if you are unquestionably the rightful heir, your place will be fought over. Yeah, I've seen enough TV shows that once the king or the emperor is dead, all the sons and daughters are gonna be like, the throne. Some who try to be neutral will most likely be killed. Non-joking, just to eliminate the possible opposition or possibilities of, passing down the succession line. But if you don't give them time to react, that could make things a great deal easier. That's what I was thinking too. I love it if the situation was more straightforward, but this is a little white lie, and the alternative is the chaos of a widely disputed succession. Alden nodded and I continued developing the rest of my plan. In the meantime, pretend that His Majesty is not feeling well and investigate discreetly. I see. I'll order my men to stay silent. I'll also ensure that they haven't said a word so far. About that, it might be wiser to ensure that they can't talk at all. Low-grade staff is known for its gossiping, even the guards. My men are trustworthy. They would never disobey. Would you be willing to bet on that if it could jeopardize the plans of our new Empress, to whom you have only just sworn allegiance to? Damn it, I do want to clap those cheeks. And that maid, can you also guarantee she'll keep quiet? His teeth clenched, his hand gripping the hilt of his sword. Alexander shook his head. The weight of Alden's words had also fallen heavily on my shoulders, and I observed both the men while contemplating my next steps. This decision is yours to make, Your Grace, but I strongly advise you to silence them for good. Alden was right. The most effective way to ensure someone stayed quiet was to have them killed. However, there could be other alternatives to consider. Such a decision couldn't be taken lightly because whatever I decided, I couldn't afford to regret it. Oh shit. Oh my days. So we bribed them, eh? We explained to them that they mustn't say a word, give them a few coins, and promise them more once the secret has been revealed, and in the meantime send them on vacation far away from here. That should be enough to guarantee their silence. Have them killed. We'll pretend they were collateral damage of the assassin. I'm sorry, Alexander, but we cannot afford to take any risks. I don't want to do that to this loyal man right here. Ensure their loyalty by promising them a much better position once I'm crowned. Even they're... Nah, these are I don't want to throw shade, but let's look at this. A maid and maybe a guard or two. Money, definitely. Because this... Oh, damn. I mean, this is a higher chance of... I don't want to lose my general. It's kind of hot. I am a straight man, but you know, we are the woman in this scenario, so gotta think in that perspective. Loyalty? Nah, we're spending money. If there was something that Marjorie had taught me, it was the power of money. I was convinced that a few shiny coins were enough to silence them. Applying extreme methods wouldn't be necessary. With all due respect, Your Grace, my guards won't let themselves be corrupted so easily. It's not about corruption, Alexander. It's rather about compensating them for their loyalty. It's just a matter of wording things correctly. Well, if you put it that way. In any case, it's much better than what the advisor suggested. Alden wasn't used to opposing decisions too openly, and he merely shrugged. I'm fine with that. I have more reservations than you do about the integrity of your guards, but that's an acceptable compromise. Time will tell if we were right. I'll go in for them. You'll see, Your Grace, you've made the right decision. Alexander, I'm trusting you because you are a commander of knights. But if we've thrown money, this does not work. Okay, we're taking the advisors, like, you know. Without further ado, he bowed once more and left the room with a heavy step. Alden seemed to be lost in thought for a moment, giving me time to come to my senses before he bowed down in turn. I must at least inform the master of murmurs of the situation so that we may launch an investigation. I nodded, aware of our lead spy's discretion as well as his efficiency. Once that is done, I'll come to you to plan the rest of our ascent. Once more, I nodded in approval, glad to be offered a little interlude that would allow me to gather my thoughts, and to dress decently while I was at it. After all, even if the coronation hadn't taken place yet, deep within me I knew it, I felt it. I was the Empress. Alright everyone, that was the demo, thank you for watching. I'm freaking kidding, that would be insane. That would be insane. What if someone made the demo, it was 5 minutes long? Think about them mangoes right there. The sun had now been up for a few hours, promising a beautiful day, but I knew I wouldn't be able to appreciate it. Now that the rush of adrenaline from the news had passed, all I had left were doubts on the days to come, which were going to be exhilarating as much as terrifying. I was gambling my future. I agree. Along with I still don't know the pronunciation of the actual kingdom, and I don't want Khalids. Is it? It's Khalid. Calidya's. I don't know, man. It's giving. I don't like the. I don't. Maybe that's just me. I'm not cheating in the game. Just this one. Ooh. Is it? Ooh, this one. This right over here. You know, I know. My brain is thinking about something else. Okay, and that was a big deal. I'd spent the past few hours readying myself and refining the details of my plan. But that's just my word. That's just one dude, okay? I'm not a game dev. Let's just whip that out right now. So I don't have the weight of like, no, guys, I think we should really change it. You know, it's one of those things. I had spent the past few hours readying myself and refining the details of my plan to appease my latent nervousness as best as I could, but that did not help me shake off my main preoccupation, the servants. Like Alden had said, I had made a risky decision and I had been torturing myself for hours wondering if it was worth it. I was restless when I heard the knock. I leaped to the door, opening it for Alden and letting him in. There, Your Grace, we have followed your orders. I hadn't seen that he was accompanied by the massive murmurs who came in after him. A slight discomfort washed over me. His role inside the palace was vital, but since I was a child, I had been terrified of his hidden face and the mysterious aura that surrounded him. God damn, this man is hot! Nevertheless, my discomfort turned into amazement when I saw him remove his hood as if it were nothing and turn to face me. My brain had pictured the worst for years, and it was very unsettling to finally be able to put a face to that man. I realized it wasn't as monstrous as I had imagined. In fact, I was shocked that it made me forget the reason for my visitor's presence, which seemed to greatly amuse the master of murmurs. What if he killed the king or the emperor? Just to bang me, huh? Is there a problem, Your Grace? It's just I didn't know that you could show your face. To be honest, I do what I want, but in principle, I only remove my hood in the presence of my sovereign and their close collaborators. Though I like to entertain the mystery and anonymity that came with the job, it would be far too dangerous for me to never reveal my face. Some people might use that to usurp my identity. I see. I agree. I think that's one of the cons of being undercover, right? As an undercover cop. We've seen this. If only 3 people know you're an undercover person, and the only person who has access to those records are like 2 people, what if they die? And one of those records were deleted by the opposition. You know what I'm saying? Then you're fucked. Now you have no choice but to live as a criminal. Though it was disconcerting, it was also rather reassuring to see that a man as important as the master of murmurs already acknowledged me as his sovereign. Alden cleared his throat to recall me to my duty, and I suddenly remembered the reason for the 2 men's presence, which immediately made my anxiety flare up. To keep myself from staring at the master's spy, I faced the advisor and fully focused on him. Did everything go well? My anxiety must have been conspicuous, even if I was doing my best to put on a confident expression. The servants seemed convinced by your offer. They left the palace without complaining, so I suppose we can count that as a win. Despite all that, it's still a bit early to be sure of anything. I gave the massive murmurs and Alexander the task of keeping a close eye on the situation. The massive murmurs slowly nodded in assent. We'll know more tomorrow, but for the time being, there's nothing more to report. I lifted my eyes to meet my advisors and flashed Alden a reassuring smile. Damn, we're just flashing smiles, huh? What a little hoe. Okay, clearly he had read my emotions better than I had thought, and I could not allow myself to visibly waver at such a critical time. I know that, and what's done is done. Now we must focus on the future. Bring the high priest to the council room. I need him to contact the Quadrator. Quadrator? Robert is a pious man. Are you sure it's a good idea to confide in him? Everyone likes to think the devout never lie, but one does not obtain a place like his without cheating a little. I admit that the idea of lying to him came to me for a fleeting moment, but to fool him would be a complex task, and I'll be needing his support when the time comes. The people put great stock in men of faith. That's true. We have senators in my country going up the pedestal, you know? Very well, Your Majesty. Will that be all? Yes, thank you. Alright then, okay. You summoned me, Your Grace. A man of faith, Robert. Yes, thank you for coming, Robert. I gestured for him to sit down while I settled behind my father's imposing desk, like I had predicted. My behavior made him lift a curious brow, but I pretended not to notice it. I won't beat around the bush. My father, the Emperor, died during the night. Clearly, we had done a pretty good job at keeping that a secret, since the shock on his face seemed genuine. What? But how? And why am I just learning about it now? I need to pray for his soul. I tried to appease him with a wave of my hand, inviting him to sit back down since he looked like he was about to get up. He was murdered. For the time being, we're keeping his death a secret so we can investigate without causing us any sort of panic. It was the Master of Murmur's idea. He's convinced he'll be able to find the assassin more easily this way. Drowning in information? The high priest slumped into his chair and took in my half-truths, while I assumed a saddened expression. It truly is a tragic situation. Keeping quiet and hiding my mourning is a very hard task for me. I know it's a lot to ask of you, but you need to keep this a secret. I want to do everything in my power to uncover the murderer, especially since I'm scared he could come after me. Once more, I was quite proud of the quivers in my voice, and my acting seemed to be effective since I saw a spark of compassion light up in his eyes. I understand now why the general was guarding your door like a common soldier. With a closed expression on my face, I nodded, searching for the right words. The first and main reason I've summoned you here is so that I could confide in you, and ask you to pray for my departed father's soul. Of course, Your Majesty, I'll lock myself up in the great temple and dedicate myself to the task. My face still sad, I gave him a tight, grateful smile, but inside I felt relieved. His prayers should keep him busy enough that he wouldn't be tempted to reveal everything. Now I could move on to the true reason of his presence here. But before that, this saddens me, but I have another favor to ask of you. Of course, Your Grace, what is it? Well, Alden and I are afraid that all the upstarts across the kingdom will rush to the castle and try to usurp the throne as soon as my father's death is made public. In their greed, many forget that my line sits on the throne by the grace of the Four. So I'd like to send a letter to the Quadrator, and have him support my coronation as well to reform my legitimacy. Once more he stayed silent and I tried to hide my worry behind a veil of sadness. I hated that my plans depended on a single person, but I did not have a choice. Only rulers and high priests could hope to quickly reach the ultimate leader of the Cardamons, and I technically wasn't Empress yet. I understand, yes. You're Magnus V's only legitimate child. The throne should be yours. That said, I don't know if the Quadrator will approve of your advent. The Quadrator. Perhaps if you were married, your candidacy would seem less inappropriate. I felt my body tense up by his words, and it took all I had to conceal how irritated I was by this reminder. I knew I would be told such things. I had mentally prepared myself for it, but obviously it hadn't been enough. It's an issue, yes, and I'll do my best to find a fitting husband quickly. But you'll agree that I cannot entrust the throne of Calidya to just anyone. I have plenty of suitors, but I need some time to study each and every one of them. That's not something that can be done just a couple of days, or even weeks. In the meantime, we do need someone to lead the country and make sure it doesn't sink into chaos. And if a regent were to be appointed, I'm afraid he might refuse to give the throne back to me and my husband, which would lead the whole country to a bloodbath. No one wants to see another era of murderous plots like during Magnus III's time. You're right, Your Grace. We cannot let such a tragedy befall us. I'll go write a letter to the Quad right away to express support for your coronation and explain our situation. Satisfied, I let out a sigh of relief. I thank you for your support, High Priest Robert. It means a lot to me. Swiftly, I opened one of the task drawers and pulled out a thin sealed letter. While I was waiting for you, I humbly wrote a few words destined for the Quad. We've never met, and I hope this would help him get to know me a little, as well as reassure him of my faith in the Four. I was thinking that perhaps you would be so kind as to add it to your own correspondence? Once more, he seemed to be caught off guard, but he smiled instantly and enthusiastically. Of course, Your Majesty, it's a great idea. Relieved, I gave him the letter in question, while thanking him once more for his support and his help in these unprecedented times. I only hope he didn't have the audacity to break the seal, because even if it did contain a few cliches on my virtues, the letter mostly made promises that could actually motivate the Quad. I think that's a religion, maybe. I knew that gold made the world go round, and so I promised a hefty donation to the great temple of Meridian. Knowing his taste for luxury, I knew that he wouldn't be insensitive to a few more riches. How much money do we really have? Yikes, this is gonna be costly, huh? Indeed, I had discovered he happily helped himself to the temple's resources. His system was well established, and despite my talent for numbers, I almost hadn't noticed what had been going on when I studied the ledgers from Meridian's great temple. It had been hard for me not to show off my discovery, but I had always known it would come in handy one day. To play with a man as powerful as a Quad The Quadrator! And I wasn't talking about his possible connection to the gods, but his actual worldly power. It was a risky move, but it was all worth it. The dice had been cast, I could only hope for things to go well, and prepare the field for my conquest of the Calidyan nobility. Calidya. You know what? Now it's going on. You know what? Keep the name. I think I like it now. Despite my desire to act for the time being, I could not do anything but wait for the Quadrator's answer. Even if the letter had left that very morning, Meridian was far away, and I knew I could not hope for an answer for at least 3 days. I had to chomp at the bit and act naive. My first thought was to mingle with the court so I could clear my head, but then pretending that nothing was up and feeding rumors to justify my father's absence. My father's absence was more frustrating than doing nothing. Even Marjorie's presence irritated me, despite her advanced age. As soon as she turned her inquisitive eyes into me, I had the impression she managed to perceive the truth. And so I had taken refuge in the library, hoping to read a little, but in all honesty, even if I managed to unscramble a few words, my thoughts were far away and my mind was replaying the events of the previous night, asking myself again and again if I had done the right thing. Your Grace, forgive me for bothering you doing your readings, but we have more news about the witnesses. Despite the mystery shrouded his words in, I knew exactly what it was referencing, and that was enough to pull me out of my boring book. With a glance, I surveyed the library to make sure we were fully alone, before motioning for him to continue. I'm listening. What's going on? Just as I feared, the few gold coins we gave the servants weren't enough. One of them, a soldier named Brunhild, has understood the value of this secret and is now trying to blackmail us. Son of a bitch. Fucking knew it. Alright. We're gonna have them killed. Blackmail me. It was indeed a possibility I had not considered. To my greatest shame, I did not think they would be cunning enough to know the value of this important secret. We can consider ourselves lucky that he still hasn't tried to sell that information to any of our political enemies. I'm sure the Baron of Levalloy, for example, would have paid a good price to get his hands on it. I gather we don't have many options. We don't indeed. Either we pay up or we make sure to shut him up for good this time. I would have liked to protest, but seeing how my own methods had failed, I could not well take offense when he offered such a drastic solution. Well, the only upside is that if we pay up, he won't be able to indefinitely blackmail us. In a few days, I'll have the Quadrator's answer, and my father's death will be officially announced. His words won't have any value from there on out. It's one of the positives indeed. Even if I'm wary of everything he could demand in a few days, people tend to be excessively greedy. Couldn't we just lock him up until things go back to normal? It's an option, but he'd try to rally all the guards and the other prisoners in the dungeon if we arrest him under the false pretenses. And if we were to kidnap him when we release him, I doubt it'll be great optics for us. When he laid it out like that, in fairness, it was obviously a bad idea. Only my first two options remained, and none of them really appealed to me. Is he asking a lot? Like I said, he's understood the worth of his secret, but fortunately for us, he's not used the same order of magnitude we are. The sum he requested is still reasonable. But once again, I would advise you against it. Showing weakness at this stage can turn out to be fatal in the long run. Sighing, I took the time to think about my decision before sharing. Murder him. I don't give a flip. Send in a few agents to remind him of his place. That should be enough to calm him down and make him forget his demands. This is money? Kill him. Hell yeah. Oh, Alden approved, clearly glad that I finally decided to use his methods. You're doing the right thing, Your Grace. I'll go inform the Master of Murmurs of her decision, and I'll make sure everything is done with the utmost discretion. The guard was kind of stupid. You're about to blackmail me, the next in line to the throne, in a few days. Are you insane? I'd understand if it was a baron, a duke, who's doing this, because they have some political power and army and people to actually do something about it. This is some random fucking schmuck under my freaking Commander of Knights, command. You're doing the right thing, Your Grace. Yeah, he's dead. I hope so. If it came to be known that I assassinated my subjects, that wouldn't be the best advertisement for my rule. Or we're not, consider this problem solved. I'm counting on you, Alden. Okay, if this gets out that I assassinated someone, Alden's head is gonna be... Oh my days, he's gonna get... Oh man. In lieu of an answer, he bowed once more before exiting the room. His attitude as a professional as ever, leaving me alone with my doubts. Alrighty then, spring day 8-9. It was already late when the Master of Murmurs knocked on my door to inform me of the evolution of the situation. Despite the late hour, I hadn't managed to close my eyes at all, as I anxiously waited to hear about the assassination. I knew well that these methods were common in the murky waters in which I now swam, but it was my first time and I could not shake off the feeling that there were so many variables that could turn against me. The Master of Murmurs took his time to start talking, and I lost my patience. So, how did it go? Whose dog is barking, man? I don't know if the mic is picking it up, but someone's dog is barking. And I hear a little bit of people outside. Should I have them assassinated? I'm freaking kidding. Okay, well, we can say we reached our goal. The blackmailer is dead. Unfortunately, he had the foresight to bring reinforcements which jumped on our agents. We managed to overcome them and eliminated all witnesses, but we lost 2 worthy men in the fight. Damn! Relieved that the whole ordeal was over, I sympathized with the Master of Murmurs. Oh, sorry. Yeah, why did that guard have to be so greedy? Things would have been far easier if he hadn't tried to take advantage of the situation. I'm truly sorry about your men. We'll throw a ceremony in their honor when this is all over. The Master of Murmurs shook his head with a melancholic smile. Don't worry, your majesty, they were the sort of men who live in the shadows. They'd have hated a public remembrance. On that note, if you'll allow me, I have many tasks left to accomplish. Yes, of course. I bowed, I remained alone with myself, and I could not stop wondering at victory and how bitter it sometimes tasted. That was on him. I mean, who the fuck are you? You're blackmailing me? Excuse me? What? Like, excuse my French. What the fuck? You're gonna blackmail me, the Empress. Literally 2 days in, I'm gonna be the Empress. I could have your whole line assassinated or murdered with my knights. Your Grace is a little premature, but should you become Empress, you will need to manage the kingdom's policies. I'd like to make sure that you're ready for such a task. Yeah, I'm curious. As you already know, the kingdom's policies influence how your subjects, noble or otherwise, view you, but also what resources will be available to us. You can set taxing the people. Finally, it's my turn. I'm kidding. As you may have guessed, the higher they are, the less happy the people will be, but the faster the coffers will fill up. But there are many other things much more subtle. For example, you can decide how open to trade our borders should be, or which sectors of the economy you'd like to focus on. Ooh, management? We must also consider how to protect ourselves from our neighbors, especially bearing in mind Vargas' warlike inclinations. But maintaining an army is very, very expensive. As such, investing in diplomacy may offer better results in the long run. And finally, we have to manage the priests. Their influence on the people is immense, and they have infrastructure all over the nation. Offerings made to them are never wasted. We've set up regular periods of time during which we collect earnings, but there will be a short delay before the consequences of any changes you make can be seen. The story alternates with phases of gameplay, which are triggered between 2 scenes. During these phases, you will be able, among other things, to modify your kingdom's... Oh, okay, policies. That's pretty good. Is that clearer now? Yeah. Yes, even if it's all very theoretical. What the heck? That's true, but the best way to approach the subject in a more concrete manner is to look into it yourself. Even if I'll only be doing this work after my coronation, may I try my hand at it now? I'm sure there are things that I'd like to change in my father's policies. Oh, shit! Okay, low, moderate, high, crafts, resources, or farming. So we get a little bit more goods to trade. This is pretty good for the noble kingdom and money. Resources will most likely say this is taxing the raw resource. And farming for food and the people. We are maintaining the current army. Definitely. A full delegation, influence and nobility. We have +1 goal. Trade. Oh my god, minus goods. Alrighty then, I'm checking. Oh my days, the nobility is like pretty mad. Offerings to the temple. Two money plus two religion. People really like it, but maybe low. Oh, -5. Alright, we gotta keep that. The people will be angry. Yeah, I could see why they would be angry. That's alright. So we are gaining influence, right? Money, built-in goods. We need the +1 for goods. I think we're good. Alright, that sounds most excellent to me. 5 people, nobility, goods, religion, and army. Alright. Dawn had barely risen when I heard a kerfuffle at the door and immediately recognized Robert's voice. I got up with a groan and quickly slipped on a dress, trying to make myself presentable before opening the door. Hi, priest, what's going on? I tried to remain as neutral as possible, but I was burning up with a mix of anxiety and excitement because I had a solid guess as to what this was about. The quad, he answered, Your Majesty. Uh-oh. Nervous, he handed me 2 letters bearing the recognizable seal of His Holiness. Your name is written on them. I did not dare open them, Your Highness. Exhilarated, I looked at the 2 pieces of paper that were about to seal my future. One seemed official, while the other was explicitly for my eyes only. I would have liked to be alone when reading them both, but clearly it had taken Robert all he had not to break the wax seal on the official letter, and he now stared at me impatiently. My throat was dry as I grabbed a paper cutter to open the correspondence. My heart was beating so fast as I had the impression everyone in the room could hear it. Oh my days. Lady Lydia of Terranful, daughter of Magnus V, or Magnus of Terranful, the fierce Emperor of Calidya. Before I have spoken and have recognized you as the legitimate heir of the crown of Calidya by virtue of your blood and despite your gender. By this decree I convey the word of the gods. May your governance be respected by all the just and the pious. May your rule prosper and never stray from the Four's faith. Vema Quadrato by the grace of the Four. Oh my. Well, I'm the Emperor. I was shaking so hard I felt my legs give in and I had to sit on my bed so I did not fall over. I have done everything in my power to make this moment happen, but now that it was upon me, I was engulfed by all the emotions I had accumulated in the past week. Robert seemed to understood me and he bowed to leave me a few long seconds so I could take in the quad's words. Finally he spoke up. That's marvelous, Your Majesty. I knew the fort would acknowledge your legitimacy. Almost timidly, I nodded and tried to recover my usual composure. With the quad's support, my coronation was sure to happen. But that did not mean I was rid of enemies or other contenders. I could not let my guard down yet. Yes, the time has come for everyone to know the truth. Gather the nobles in the castle at dawn and prepare the pigeons. He nodded, a grave expression on his face. Yes, we can't wait any longer. The secret of her father's death couldn't have been kept indefinitely, in any case. It was true that his absence had been going on for a while, and a possible illness worried people just as much as a possible death. It was fortunate that these letters had not take too long to arrive. I'll be there. I need to finish getting ready. Of course, Your Majesty. I'll have the bells rung, but at such an early time, I don't suppose we can gather everyone in less than an hour. I approve with a polite nod, and soon I watch him leave and close the door. Finally, on my own, I collapsed on the bed and let myself gloat. Fuck yeah, man! I'm the Empress! Everyone is gonna bow down. I'm gonna be taxing the rich and the poor. What the heck are they gonna do, huh? I whoop in pure, childish joy as I read the quad's letter over and over again. I knew that I had plenty of challenges ahead of me, but this was my first victory against traditions, and I intended to savor it for as long as I could. Only after a few long minutes had passed did I decide to open the second letter, which was addressed to me personally. Uh-oh. Lady Lydia of Turnful, be aware that your threats cannot shake the faith that the believers have in me. Only my wish to preserve them from potentially bloody conflicts has guided my decisions not to be offended by your contemptible lies, and to support you despite them. Keep in mind, nonetheless, that I don't appreciate these methods, and that you have made yourself a dangerous enemy. Lady Lydia 1 cannot defy the 4 with impunity. Okay, so they acknowledge that I'm Empress, but at the same time... Damn. I got up with a sigh and held the parchment over a candle long enough for it to catch fire, before throwing it into the cold fireplace. I had expected a reaction of the sort. I just preferred not to leave behind more traces of my methods than necessary. Needless to say, I did not regret a thing. Even if he acted unconcerned, I fully believed that my threats had helped to sway him. Now it was the court I had to sway, and I knew this was not going to be an easy task. Oh shit. The people are gonna be bitching and moaning. You're gonna be like, a woman? What the hell? Shouldn't you be in the kitchen? Off with his head. Make sure not to overexert yourself, Lydia. You're spending your days locked up in this office. You should get out of it to clear your head. Come take a walk with this old lady. I think that's Marjorie. I had left the door open, and although I had not heard Marjorie come over to me, I wasn't surprised. Since her perfume, which she applied too liberally, had filled the room, I almost felt nostalgic for a moment. Contrary to what she seemed to suggest, I was not here for pleasure. I was overwhelmed. Invitations, solicitations, promises. I had spent the last 3 days flattering Calidyan nobility to ensure that nothing would interfere with the coronation in 3 weeks' time, and I still had a lot to do. Oh my god, three weeks for the official coronation. Oh, perhaps you can fool everyone else, but I know you're far from being an old lady, Marjorie. My reply made her laugh, a hoarse and joyous sound that believed what I had just said. Oh, I still have the same quick wit I had when I was 20, but I'm afraid my whining bones disagree with you, sweetheart. Come on, don't be cruel. You already broke my poor heart when you did not let me in on the secret. I put my quill down with a sigh and closed the inkwell, hoping its content would not dry out. She had taught me many things, and even if I had grown stronger than her in a few areas, it was obvious that she still used guilt like no one else. She almost made me feel bad for hiding my father's death from her. Woman, I'm the Empress. You know full well I did not have a choice. This information had to be disclosed to a few people as possible. I know, sweetheart, but I would have liked to be there for you. These past few days must not have been easy. No, they were not, indeed. As promised, I quietly walked by Marjorie's side through the garden, but we could not take one step before some servant or noble offered me their condolences. Of course. I'm so tired of pretending to be sad. I know your father was a flawed man. Was a really flawed man. She paused, looking at me as she seemed to hesitate to say something. I looked at her intrigued. There was so much contempt in her voice when she spoke of his flaws that she obviously knew something about him. Something I probably did not. But no matter what anyone says, he was your family, your blood. You shouldn't make him like that. It's not healthy, especially now that he's dead. I sensed from her tone that I'd get nothing more from her, at least not today. And I did not insist, draping myself once again in my indignity. No, that's too easy. You can't just die and expect that all your mistakes will be forgiven. It's not as if he chose to die, my dear. And so, it doesn't change anything. She sighed, and I decided to change the subject before I had to listen to another lecture on the importance of family bonds. But since we're speaking of forgiveness, I need your help. Suspicious, she frowned, although she kept walking calmly between the flower beds. I would like it if you gave me Fear Castle. That old dilapidated fortress, what for? Pretending to admire some insects that were flying around the planters, I hesitated for a second. I needed the fortress to buy the Faram's loyalty, but Marjorie held a deep hatred for them. I didn't like lying to her, but I could not run the risk that she'd refuse my request. Oh shit. I need it because I'm going to give it back to the Faram. Upon hearing my words, Marjorie froze, trembling with anger. You want to give it back to those vile traitors? Do you know how many men died storming it? Do you know what this fortress cost me? I knew she would react that way. Even though the war had ended about 20 years ago, she still bore painful memories of it. Yes, I know all that, but it all took place before my birth. It's time we move forward and reconcile with the Faram, lest we repeat the mistakes of the past. I don't want another Faram revolt under my rule. I need their support for my coronation, and to obtain that support, I need Fear Castle. You know just as well as I do that it's only a ruin now, an old pile of rubble left on steep and barren land. It's nothing more than a symbol. Can I say no in taking this castle? A symbol is still a powerful tool for some. My old aunt grumbled for a few long minutes, but she was forced to concede my point even if it cost her. Do what you want, but believe me, once you become Empress, I'll call in the favor. Thank you, Marjorie. I knew I could count on you. Relieved, I finally let out the breath I had not realized I'd been holding. Knowing the affection Marjorie held for me, I knew that I'd end up convincing her, but as I had the meeting with the Faram heir in 4 days, I did not have a lot of room for errors. With one less issue weighing on my heart, I continued my walk with a bounce in my step, forgetting for a few minutes the court's problems and plots. What the fuck is this? Oh, Faram. This is my first time ever meeting Theodore Faram. I had heard him described as a cold and distant man, but I still did not expect him to be so glacial. The man said, "Yeah, you're hot, but I don't give a fuck." I waited for him to deign reply to my greeting as courtesy demanded, but the silence between us was deafening. He only stood there like an asshole, staring at me, impassive, without even so much as a good morning or a nice to meet you, while I had to keep smiling not to lose face. I had better things to do than engage in a staring contest, for God's sake. Consequently, I swallowed my pride and gestured to one of the chairs around the staff table where a large map of Calidya had been laid out. I imagine you must be tired after such a long trip. Please sit down. I thought he was going to stay standing there, but he did finally sit down without another word, while I took a seat not too far from him. Like I said in my letter, I'd like for the Terranfil and the Faram to reconcile. The tensions between our two families have lasted long enough, and I imagine your sudden desire to make peace has nothing to do with your upcoming coronation? The Monteliet are eating out of your hand, but the Volidor will never support you, which means you very much need us. Coming as he was from a lineage with a somewhat barbaric reputation, he had done a fairly clever analysis of the situation. But I did not let that stop me. Very much need is a bit strong. Should I remind you that I have the support of the Order and by extension the Four? The people will follow me. That said, I do wish for my coronation to go as smoothly as possible. And the rest of my rule as well. I like to avoid bloodshed altogether if possible, and I fear that the ancestral enmity between our two families might lead us to just that. Neither you nor I were born when the Faram revolt took place. It's up to us to decide if we want to perpetuate this cycle of conflict, or if we want to build something new. He took on a thoughtful expression and observed me with a renewed interest. It's easy for you to forget. You're on the side of the victors. You haven't been rehashing your resentment for 20 years. Precisely, wouldn't it be easier for you to forget it as well, especially if it's been haunting you for that long? Damn, I'm good. Even if we were inclined to consider your offer of a reconciliation, how could we trust you? I won't give you a history lesson, but that revolt did not happen for nothing. It was following me exactly where I was leading, and it took me some effort to repress a smile and keep a businesslike countenance. Firstly, I'm not the same person as my father or my grandfather. It's unfair to distrust me as a result of their actions. And secondly, I'm ready to make a gesture of goodwill, if the Faram are ready to make one as well. I'm listening. If you openly support my ascent to the throne, I'm ready to return your family the Fair Castle Citadel and the lands that go with it. This time I savored the true surprise in his eyes when I handed him the deed I had taken the time to prepare. As you know, it was confiscated after the revolt. Since it's located at the strategic crossroads between Terranfil and Monteliet, I thought it would be a strong gesture to return it to you. But also, quite a symbol of trust. After glancing over the signed pledge, Theodore looked at me once more with defiance this time. There's no doubt that my family will appreciate the gesture. I was already basking in my victory when he continued, his voice cold. But as for me, it only makes me see that you're one of those politicians ready to use every dirty trick in the book if it will give you what you want. I had been warned that you're the rightful heir of that snake who used to lead the Monteliet, but now I'm seeing it with my own eyes. So yes, indeed, we will accept your offer and support your coronation, because unlike you, we stick to our word, but you should know that you're not fooling me. I'll remain at the palace to make sure you don't stab us in the back as soon as you achieve your goals. In the end, his analysis of the situation, or indeed of my character, wasn't as clever as I had thought. I was ambitious, sure. There was no denying that. I wasn't shy about it either, but my desire to make peace was just as sincere. Stay at the castle if you wish. Dukes are welcome here at any time, but you'll get eaten alive by the court if you always speak your mind so plainly, my lord. He shrugged condescendingly before getting up. Oh, I'm very capable of defending myself, Majesty. I just choose not to use the same venom as you do. That doesn't mean I don't know how to protect myself from its sting. No one liked being called a snake, but even if it was unpleasant to be treated with such hostility by someone to whom I had never done anything, actually. I'd gotten what I wanted. I did not wish to risk making him change his mind by starting an argument. Time will tell. I do hope you change your mind about me, but as long as the Faram uphold their end of the bargain, you're free to think whatever you like. Don't say that as if you were doing me a favor, Your Grace. Even empresses don't have a dominion over people's thoughts. What a piece of shit. You know what? I'm expanding the army. I don't give a flip a doodle his trust and loyalty. If he's continuously disrespecting me, he does that in the court, that's it. I'm not giving a shit. And in order to keep me from having the last word of our pointless sparring, he immediately turned on his heel and slammed the door. Furious, I was engaged in deep breathing exercise when Alden walked in. How did things go with Theodore Faram? I shrugged with a sigh. I suppose it was all right. At least the Faram should support my coronation. That's all that matters. How about you? Did you manage to convince Leon? As you suspected, he's not inclined to support you. Apparently, he and his brother fear that Calidya will become a second Assyria. I raised my eyes to the sky, not hiding my exasperation of these words, as if it were enough for a woman to lead the empire for us to become a matriarchy. Have you at least convinced him not to openly oppose a coronation? Yes, as you suggested, I implied that the civil war wouldn't be good for business and that you were easy to manipulate. Was that enough? Yes and no. The man's smarter than I thought. He took this as an opportunity to claim the position of treasurer. Treasurer? Look at him go. Since he believes you're incompetent, he thinks that's the only way for him to ensure that the country stays on the right track and that the Voildor's economical interests are preserved. That's my brother, everyone. I'm oh my days. Upset, I bit my lips while I pondered the implications of such a nomination. I didn't want it to stand in my way at every council meeting, but there was no valid reason for me to refuse him this privilege either. I imagined before asking for that position, he encouraged the current treasurer to retire. That's correct. A pretty house by the seaside is waiting for him, and now he can't wait to be gone. I imagine we don't have a choice then. I'll summon Leon tomorrow and pretend to be a naive ingenue who's happy to let him take on big responsibilities. I sighed heavily, and Alden stepped towards me with a discreetly amused smile. Are you sure you'll manage? Manage? Playing the easily influenced ingenue. Yeah. I sighed, offering him a reassuring smile. It would not be fun having tea with such a conservative man, but there was nothing insurmountable about it. Oh, don't worry about me. I can play dumb when I need to. I've spent my whole life appearing less dangerous than I really am. I should be able to pretend just this once. He might have some nasty surprises down the line, however. He nodded with a gleam of pride in his eyes. I trust you then. Oh, I'm so ready to be Empress. Your Grace, news of your nomination to the throne has spread quickly. We received a letter addressed to you from the Queen of Mava of Assyria. My respects, Empress of Calidya. I wish to write to you as I could congratulate you on your recent nomination to the throne, as well as offer my condolences for your father's death. Assuming power is a heavy responsibility, but I have been told that you are very capable, and I know that Calidya is in good hands. Calidya and Assyria have always maintained solid diplomatic relations. I hope that they will continue. Nay, prosper under your rule. Up until now, the matriarchs have always been opposed to non-commercial negotiations, but your nomination has made them curious. We dare to believe that in your presence, my emissaries and myself will cease to be subjected to the patronizing condescension that your predecessors invariably displayed, and that made my country's past rulers so wary of further interactions. The gods whispered to me that your ascension to the throne signals the dawn of a new era for the continent. Therefore, I wish to support you as much as I can. With the matriarch's assent, I have decided to mandate an emissary, whose role it will be to liaise between our two nations. Her name is Ash Isabis. She is an exceptional woman who I hope will be welcomed into her palace as she deserves. With all my sympathy. Damn. Maeva, Queen of Assyria. That's wonderful news. I'll need as many allies as possible during my rule. Indeed, diplomacy is a delicate art, but it's fundamental for Calidya's prosperity. You'll need to woo the neighboring countries and ensure their goodwill towards us. Oh, not available. But we'll talk about that later. For now, we have a coronation to organize. Oh, is it? Is this it? Is this me? Finally, I'm the queen, baby. Damn, I'm hot. I told you I picked the right dress. The big day had finally come. Impatient and nervous, I paced my bedroom while checking my hair and my outfit for the umpteenth time. Nothing was easy as per usual, as I was supposed to display poise, elegance, and grandeur, all while remaining humble. Alright then. Despite all that, I felt ready and dignified. And I only waited to hear from Alexander, who would escort me since my father wasn't in a state to do so. Time was passing by at an infuriatingly slow pace when finally he knocked and walked into the room, clad in his ceremonial attire. That armor and the pompous cape that went with it did not suit him, and I suppressed a smile when I saw him squeeze into it. Ready, Your Grace? Almost timidly, I nodded while he politely bowed to let me pass in front of him. Then he followed suit, respectfully walking one step behind. Her Grace Lydia the Terranful, Princess of Calidya, Duchess of Terranful, Lady of Vermont, blessed by Myriad. I closed my eyes and savored the title that I was hearing for the last time. When the herald would announce me next, I would be Empress of Calidya. I did not remember having ever seen the throne room this packed. Clearly, when I had been told that the entire castle had gathered here, it hadn't been an exaggeration. To try and hide my nervousness, I walked at a slow pace, my head held high, my eyes leveled at the throne. But my curiosity slowly got the better of me, and while I tried to remain as dignified as I could, I let my gaze wander discreetly in search of familiar faces. Alden, of course, stood right next to my throne, his face impassive, but his eyes bright enough that I could see the pride reflected in them. Robert was there too, my future crown already held in his hands. He did his best to appear as imposing as his function required him to. In the noble section, I recognized Leon of Voildor, surrounded by his family, conversing with other nobles who were vaguely familiar to me. To my surprise, I also spotted Theodore, leaning against a pillar, his gloomy aura seeming to hold people at bay so that he wasn't drowning in unknown faces. As I passed by her, Marjorie gave me a smile, and I felt her perfume reach me, calming me despite its loud scent. Finally, the last step stretched before me, and I suddenly realized that I couldn't hear the crowd's hubbub anymore. The only sound was my heart beating in my temples. Ceremoniously, I knelt in front of his throne. That was still forbidden to me. Soon I had cause to praise whomever had the brilliant idea to place a small cushion under my knees. The blessings were proceeding at an infuriatingly slow pace. I listened to them with only half an ear, but I still displayed my most serious and focused face to honor the solemnity of the ceremony. The day before, Robert had asked me if I wanted to celebrate tradition by taking the name of one of my predecessors, or if I'd rather start my own dynasty. No, this is a new rule. Keep my name. I understood the importance of tradition, but I was much too proud of who I was to give up my name, my identity. I wanted to carry it with pride for as long as I would rule. I didn't know the sermon by heart, but I knew it would soon be ending, since the whole place seemed to grow livelier. With each passing second, both the crowd and Robert's voice vibrated with renewed excitement until the key moments came. I closed my eyes and braced myself for the weight of the surprisingly light crown that he delicately placed upon my head. Rise up, Lydia the First, the Terranful, Princess or Empress of Calidya, first of her name, Duchess of Terranful, Lady of Vermont, chosen by the Four and blessed by Myriad. A Myriad? You shall bow no longer, since from this day until your death, in the name of the gods, I entrust you with the charge of guiding your subjects and making Calidya shine bright for decades to come. Slowly I rose and turned around to sit on that throne that had been meant for me. Then I opened my eyes to look at the crowd, and it suddenly went quiet, and an almost religious silence settled in for a few seconds. Long live Empress Lydia the First! Or Lydia the One. Yeah, it's Alexander's voice resounded next to me, oddly loud, and as it shattered this almost dreamlike moment, cheers arose from all the sides in the spectacular chaos. The general enthusiasm was contagious, and I caught myself smiling and waving at the crowd with a bit too much vigor. The party was in full swing, and if I was still beaming, my head was starting to hurt with the incessant solicitations of people who come to pay their respects. You should empty this glass into a flower pot and ask one of the servants to pour your you grape juice instead. Or maybe I had too much wine. If I was being honest, I couldn't remember how many times my glass had been refilled, but one thing I knew, it had never stayed empty. Even if Marjorie was probably right, I pouted. Come on, Marjorie, am I not allowed to have a bit of fun? It's my coronation day after all. She shook her head with a tender smile. You can't do this precisely because it's her coronation day, sweetheart. Some people might be subtler about it than others, but everyone is watching you and judging you. She was right and I knew it. I had let myself relax perhaps a bit too much. Carried away by my enthusiasm, that acknowledgement did not stop me from having a deep sigh of despair. Well, I did not come here to cuddle you. I know you're perfectly capable of managing the situation. I just wanted to officially congratulate you. No one deserves this title more than you, and you'll make an incredible empress. Her face sparkled with pride and affection, and I felt my heart melt under her praise. Her opinion had always mattered to me, and I felt myself go back to the little girl I once was, who always sought her approval. I hesitated for an instant, but finally I let myself gently hug her, making sure not to spill my glass on her in the process. Thank you, Marjorie. Thank you for everything. She kindly stroked my hair and I stayed in her embrace for a few moments, just long enough to regain control of my emotions, which were threatening to make me cry. She gently patted my back to remind me of my duties, and I finally let go of her, my face now wearing a more neutral expression. Go on, sweetheart, I won't keep you any longer. People are queuing to talk to you. She was right. As much as they tried to hide it, many people stood nearby, waiting for an opportunity to pounce on me as soon as I'd be free. The quickest to the... Who is this? Who the fuck is this? The quickest to the mark was a young woman I had never seen before. One look at the pretty dreadlocks she sported, decorated with small golden jewels, told me her background. Magnificent coronation, Her Grace. Oh, there's still an ant here, man. Yeah, I get this freaking ant here. It's like in between the cracks. Her melodious accent convinced me I was right. And I flashed her a gorgeous smile. Thank you, Lady Asha. Are you not? She seemed surprised for a second, then her face lit up. Well, I'm flattered you recognized me before I could even introduce myself. I don't know who spoke of me to you, but I do hope they said good things. She gave me a small laugh, as if to brush off this pleasantry, which I knew had a much deeper meaning. After all, I had indeed heard a lot about her, both from Queen Maeva, who had warmly recommended her to me, and from Robert, who had tried to paint her as an ungodly heathen and temptress the minute she had set foot in the capital. Of course, the Queen keeps showering you with praise. Then allow me to return her kindness and to tell you how fantastic Maeva is. She'll make a formidable ally. Her familiar way of talking about her ruler made me quirk an eyebrow, but I did not question it. After all, Assyrian customs were much different from ours, and her relationship with her queen was none of my concern. As long as she did not use the same casual tone while talking about Calidya nobility, there would be no issue. In any case, I do hope Calidya is to her liking, Lady Asha. Unfortunately, I still haven't had the time to visit her beautiful lands and to taste her many specialties. Therefore, the question may be a bit premature. She gave me a smile, but it did not reach her eyes, which made me see that her answer was an elegant way to not speak ill of the place without lying. Now that it was my castle and my nation, it did upset me a little, but I could not be mad at her for finding the place a bit drab. My father had never been the keen eye for interior design. I was about to ask her more futile questions when Robert stepped into the space between us. The gesture was overtly rude, but his position allowed him to act in that manner, and I turned away from Asha to listen to what he had to say. Your Majesty, please forgive me for interrupting, but I must speak with you on a topic of the utmost importance. He barely hid the dirty look he gave Asha. She understood the message and gracefully curtsied. I'll go breathe some fresh air in the gardens, if you'll excuse me, Your Majesty. I mentally took note of where to find her if I wanted to continue the conversation and bowed to her in lieu of goodbye. Then I focused my attention to Robert, wondering with some trepidation if something bad had happened. What's going on? Don't worry, Your Majesty, nothing that will spoil your night. I just wanted to make sure that you were taking my warnings about the Assyrian diplomat seriously. I don't find her trustworthy at all. I had to hold back a sigh. It was quite distressing to see him go to such trouble only to interrupt my conversation with a foreign dignitary. Please be comforted, she wasn't inviting me to dance naked in the sea in honor of the snake goddess Sif. I had said that in a playful tone, hoping to lighten the mood, but he looked even more upset. You should take this issue at heart. These people are insidious. They seem nice. You let your guard down, and by the time you realize you've fallen into the trap of a witch, it's much too late. I did not have the patience to hear more of this, and I took an offended expression. I'd always relied on the gods, and I could not tolerate anyone implying that my convictions were unsteady, or that I'm so easily influenced given the importance of the order within Calidya. Shrouded in righteous anger, I give Robert a withering look. Do you believe my faith could be so easily shaken, High Priest? Taken aback, he immediately softened and apologized profusely. I relaxed in turn. I'm taking note of your worries, and I promise I'll be careful, but you must also understand that you simply cannot say such things about the foreign guests, especially not in public. This could have serious diplomatic consequences. He scowled once more but did not say a word, politely bowing instead. I understand you. Exactly, it's like, I just got seated on the throne, my guy, and you're about to make a diplomatic issue. What does that look? That makes I have a weak rule immediately. Or a chaotic one. A short silence passed between us before he turned away, mumbling something about prayers he had to make. For the first time of the night, I found myself alone, and no one came to talk to me, perhaps for fear of getting caught in the fallout from this tense conversation. I enjoyed that respite and decided to go talk to my commander, of course. Alexander had always been unwaveringly supportive of me. I knew that in his presence I'd be able to unwind a little, and I cast my gaze around the room, looking for him. His showy ceremonial armor should have made him stand out, but despite my best efforts, I did not manage to spot him in the crowd. Knowing him, I guess he had already slipped away. He had always despised social functions. Yeah, I sighed and gave up on my search, deciding to get some fresh air in the gardens instead. The wine, the music, the lights, the scent, it was all starting to get to my head. A little coolness would be very welcome. The spring season would make it that much nicer. The weather shouldn't be too cold. The place was rather calm. Aside from the scattered giggles of bashful lovers hidden in the bushes, serenity washed over me. I took in a few deep, invigorating breaths, emptying my glass into the grass so I wouldn't be tempted to finish it. I looked to see if I could spot Asha when a voice near me made me jump. Is everything alright, Your Majesty? Alexander! Forgive me for frightening you, that wasn't my intent. It's nothing, it's only that I've been looking for you. Found you nowhere and now you appear behind me as if by magic. I'm sorry, I did not know you were trying to find me. I had merely stepped back so I could watch. You realize saying this sort of thing makes you sound like a pervert. My comment, although it was made in a light tone, seemed to send him into a panic. I'm sorry, that wasn't my intent. There was nothing untoward in my action. I promise I gently patted his shoulder to try and stop his tangled flow of apologies. Then I let out a chuckle. I was joking. I knew you only wanted to protect me, but you should still be mindful of how you word things. Nodding, he relaxed, and I invited him to walk by my side while I continued to enjoy the nocturnal serenity. Were you looking for me for a particular reason? Nothing special. With everything that's happened, we haven't really had the time to chat, you and I. Oh. He seemed honestly moved, and I did not regret my decision even for a moment, as childhood memories flowed back, prompted by the changing landscape around us. Oh, do you remember this gazebo? Enthusiastic, I stepped closer to the small marble construction, still intact despite the years. We climbed all the way up to get my kite, which had gotten stuck under the spike. But then you got trapped. Oh yes, I remember that very well. I'm still mortified by that memory, you know, Lydia. I wanted to impress you, and in the end, you were the one who had to save me. His empathetic tone made me laugh, and I shook my head. You give me too much credit. I only went and got a ladder, nothing very amazing. And yet I remember how much your courage helped me not to panic. You were only 10, but you seemed to have the entire situation under control. I was more mortified at the idea of getting scolded by my father than falling, but I didn't see any other solution than to send someone to get help, until you came back with that ladder, which you were dragging behind you because it was too heavy. In the end, I was the one who got scolded for ruining the flower beds, but we laughed so much. Filled with nostalgia, I stayed quiet for a moment, a gentle smile on my lips until a cold breeze rose and made me shiver. Oh my days, well this is the CG art right here that I'm talking about. My knight in shining armor. Are we gonna bang? Before I could even express my discomfort, I felt warm fabric covering my shoulders. And I raised my eyes to meet Alexander's, who had just offered me his cake. That's kind, but it's not necessary. You watched over me so much when I was younger. I would have never survived my years in the palace if it weren't for you. Now it's my turn to watch over you while you focus on your duty as an empress. It's the least I can do. He still hadn't let go of my shoulders, but his closeness did not bother me. I was carried away by nostalgia and by the tenderness in his words, and I had neither the desire nor the strength to protest. My pride wanted me to rebel and claim once more that I was strong enough to take care of myself on my own. But I knew that a little support wouldn't do me any harm. And if I always keep trying to prove that I did not need anyone, I would end up alone, and that wasn't what I wanted. Thank you, Alexander. It's comforting to know that I can count on you. Always, Your Grace. My words seemed to have broken the spell, and he finally let go of my shoulders, leaving me wrapped in the heavy velvet cape. We're banging? We should head back. I fear you might catch a cold. Because you're immune to colds, perhaps. He sighed and rolled his eyes while correcting himself. I fear we might catch a cold. With a satisfied smile, I turned back to the castle, albeit with much slower steps than usual. Okay, we're back to Empress things. Your Grace, as you surely know, an essential task that comes with your role as a ruler is to listen to your subjects' petitions. They've accumulated since your father's death, and even before, he was never fond of that duty. Now that you've been crowned, you'll need to dedicate them a fair share of your time. It's especially important because other advisors and myself have gotten used to lodging petitions on matters that require your attention but do not fit into the council's agenda. Yeah, explain to me. All of this is very new to me. I won't say no to further explanations. Petitions are matters that require your informed judgment, whether they pertain to trials, grant requests, or other various issues. The other advisors and myself are usually tasked with submitting them, but we may also pass on requests coming directly from your subjects. I divide them into two stacks, urgent affairs and current affairs. Of course, urgent affairs must be attended as soon as possible. I've added an exclamation mark to the stack for more clarity. As long as all urgent affairs haven't been dealt with, I won't give you any current affairs so as not to distract you with futile matters. As with everything that requires your input, petitions may necessitate the mobilization of certain resources, but don't forget that they can also offer opportunities. Good decisions can turn out to be quite lucrative. Finally, you must keep in mind that improving the living conditions of your people will ensure their affection for you and in the long run will contribute to the realm's prosperity. Is that clear? Hell yeah! Alright, I suggest that you deal with one of mine first. It's an issue that has been on my mind for a while. Alright man, hit me up baby, hit me up. What's the issue? I keep hitting the table. Here you go. Well then, I'll let you study that on your own and go about your business. Feel free to go through more of them so you can grow familiar with the process. You will be informed of their outcome in due time. Even if the crown is yours, I'd be wary of your bastard brothers. For some an illegitimate son is far better than a woman. And I wouldn't want the nobility to use this excuse so they can rid of you the first chance they get. I've tasked the Master of Murmurs with investigating them. At the moment, it seems that most of them live a modest life as craftsmen or servants. But the simplest minds can be the easiest to sway, especially since you haven't established any bond with them, which means nothing will stop them from betraying you. I suggest dealing with the issue in a more permanent— killing them. Alden. Of course. Oh shit. Alright, what is this? What is this? I'll add spies. Let's not kill them just yet. Your Grace, all our spies are in place and for the moment they haven't noticed anything suspicious. Increase surveillance around Aaron Villas. Okay. Count. I'll keep you updated. Alright. Master of Murmurs. The hot dude. Yeah. Oh shit. Alright, petitions. The people need something. Your Grace, the scholars would like to expand the Academy of Astrarock in order to welcome more aspirants. Alright, more so expand this is the educational department. Okay. Raise the required funds thanks to several generous donors, but since the academy is located in the very middle of the capital, its expansion requires raising some of the shops. Oh my. The people. The people. The people. No. 5 gold. Damn it. Alright. I don't want retards in my freaking nation. So, the scholars are creatures of habit, and the idea made them gnash their teeth at first, but they quickly saw all the advantages of erecting a new structure and are now impatient to see their new building come to life. Yeah, it would take longer, but I don't give. I gave them the budget already. Yeah, new academy. Okay. Alright, good report. Alright, politics. We can't tax the people by an insane amount. We are getting money. Oh, we're losing money. We sent a full delegation. Yeah, just be cordial. I was truly glad to be the Empress now, but as I had expected, I hadn't had a single moment to myself since my coronation. There was an endless and continuous stream of people paying their respects to me and of more or less futile issues to solve. Even if I was happy to finally be able to exercise my power legitimately, I also felt that I needed a break. Thus, after taking care of the most urgent matters, I decided to take a moment to relax and really spicy. My bedroom with Alexander. I walked towards my room, my steps slow, trying to make myself small so I could avoid meeting someone who would recall me to my responsibilities. Relieved to have only encountered a few maids and the guards standing before my door, I was about to graciously collapse in my bed when I saw someone lying on the floor. My first thought was that I was dealing with a corpse, and I froze until the corpse started moving. Since they did not make the slightest attempt to hide, I doubted they were an assassin, but after what had happened to my father, I couldn't just justify any carelessness. Guards, help! There's an intruder in my room! My cry seemed to surprise the intruder, who tries to get up a tad too quickly and bumped their head against the bed. It's just me, Majesty! Recognizing Alexander's voice, I felt my heart slow down. I gave a reassuring sign to the two soldiers who had just run into the room. They looked just as confused as I was at the spectacle of the general sprawled on my bedroom floor. Rubbing his head all the while, Alexander finally stood up in a much more dignified posture and cleared his throat. At rest, soldiers, I was just doing a preventive sweep of Her Majesty's room. The men seemed to hesitate, and I nodded to give my assent, letting them return to their posts. I hadn't let anything show while they were there, but once they had left, I crossed my arms and stared at Alexander. The situation was just too fishy, and I was sure there was more to it. A preventive sweep? Were you worried an assassin was hiding under my bed, Alexander? I was used to not having any real intimacy in my quarters. There were always people coming and going to help me get ready or to clean things up, but this was the first time I had caught someone trying to search the place. Well, actually, he was nervously fidgeting with some sort of leather pouch that he held in his hands, which made me quirk an eyebrow. Stop beating around the bush, what are you hiding? He handed me the pouch in question with a sigh, and I saw its rather unpleasant contents, little bones mixed with dried plants. What the? I had never seen anything like that before, but I knew very well what it was, a pagan amulet, most likely placed here to curse me. This thing was under my bed? Under the mattress, yes, but I was trying to check if there were more of them just in case. Know what? Better be safe. I reckon it won't hurt to search a little more. Like everyone in Calidya, I was sensitive to this kind of superstitions. Surely there was no smoke without fire. A few minutes spent searching through my things was a small price to pay to feel at ease, after all. Assisted by Alexander, I endeavored to look under my furniture, and in the closets, I thought I heard a small sigh of relief when I decided to look through my undergarments myself, sparing both of us that small indignity. Our rummaging lasted 10 minutes at most, since he had already searched most of the room before I came in. Well, that's reassuring. We only have to get rid of one of these things. Alright, I'll give it to a priest and ask them to neutralize its nefarious effects. Alexander looked rather doubtful, and I did not think he believed the object would be dangerous in any real sense, but that was indeed the regular procedure. As for me, I would have been reassured to know it had been purified, but I could not take the risk. No! Make sure to keep this to yourself. If this ever reached Robert, he would be liable to embark on a heathen hunt, which would be much likelier to deal with the real damage to a great many people. Alexander looked doubtful, but he bowed without saying a word. I knew I could trust him. To lighten up the mood, I asked in an amused voice, "So, do you often conduct thorough sweeps of my room in search of pagan amulets, General?" Despite my obviously teasing tone, he took my words to heart and replied in a serious voice, "No, this is the first time I was alerted by the behavior of one of the servants." Once more, I quirked a brow to invite him to continue. "One of the maids who take care of the cleaning in your quarters suddenly fell ill, and another insisted on replacing her. I found that suspicious. Especially after learning that she had disappeared, I decided to have a look through your room." "I see. I wasn't aware that you're staying appraised of the servants' gossip." "I'm not. I only asked the Master of Murmurs to inform me of any suspicious changes." "I see. Well, I thought these kinds of things would eventually happen, that my coronation wouldn't please everyone. One more witch, one less witch, that won't change things much." "Yeah. That's true. Still, I'm sorry you had to see that. I know you're overworked and I did not want to bother you with something so futile. I appreciate your concern, Alexander, but I'm not burnt out yet, if that can make you feel better. But you can't deny you haven't had a lot of rest these past few days, Your Majesty." "I can't deny that. Indeed, I don't regret a thing, but in all honesty, I did not expect to be this busy with daily affairs. Even though the succession went smoothly, my father's assassination did cause quite a chaos. It's going to take me a lot of time and energy to put things fully back in order. It won't be easy. But we all know you'll succeed, Your Grace. The realm could not wish for a better empress in this time of crisis." "Your trust warms my heart, but I haven't been empress nearly long enough for you to be this confident, you know." "Absolutely not. I completely trust your abilities." I knew every one of his compliments was sincere, and I felt myself blush a little in response to such devotion. "Thank you. Your unwavering support is more than welcome. It's important for any ruler to be supported. My duty is to help you, and I shall fulfill it to the best of my abilities." He stopped for a moment, letting his shoulders relax. "And I can't help but be afraid for you." "Afraid? Because of my father's assassin?" He had a blank moment and seemed to hesitate for a few moments, then shook his head vigorously at these words. "No, I can protect you from an assassin. I was thinking of everything else." He quickly nodded at the amulet he was still holding. "I'm not made of glass, Alexander. I can live with the animosity of those who don't want to see me on the throne. Don't misunderstand, Your Grace. I would never think of you as weak, but ruling isn't famous for being an easy thing. I'm not worried about the Empress, but rather about you. Precisely because you want to be an exceptional Empress, even though you're strong, everyone can slip up, Your Grace." He was right about that. To believe oneself above difficulties was the best way to drown in them. "I understand your worries, and they move me. Please believe that. But I know how to take care of myself. I'm not some sort of peasant who woke up one day and had to take on this role without any sort of a preparation. My father had me taken away from the court long ago, but I had the best teachers. My entire life had been built on the premise that I'd be Empress one day, and now I am." Alexander sighed and seemed to waver for a moment. "I admire your determination, Your Grace. You're right. You're right to be proud of your abilities. I just hope your pride won't lead you to overexert yourself. But I digress and I'm overstepping my duties. Please forgive me for bothering you with all this." Without leaving me the time to add anything else, he bowed and made for the door. "Once again, congratulations on your coronation, Lydia. I'm excited to see what you'll make of this kingdom." Oh, a shot. Here we go. Petitions. Alright, we can just do this. Alright. "Dear Grace, I know you wish to remain discreet about the situation, but I cannot stand that someone's attempts to curse you are going unpunished." Okay. General Alexander. Yeah, let's interrogate her. That's free. Alright. We interrogated the servant as you asked. A lucky charm. Damn, okay. Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, lucky charm. Everyone can say it's a lucky charm. Man. No, what? No, we'll keep this. We are maintaining a lot of things, right? Yeah. Yeah, I think we're good. Your Grace, this won't be an easy task. Modify your current inheritance law. Alright. Alden of Alright, Volder. Hmm. I'm going with this one. I'm the Empress. I'm changing this. Ooh. So okay then. The firstborn of their family becomes the heir regardless of their gender. Alright, middle one. I think that seems fair. Is that good? Plus two money. I believe the law has been well received. Yep. Oh, baby. People liked it. Alright, I did it. I did it. I did that. I did. The days passed by in a blur, all similar to each other, new petitions to manage, new events to participate in, influential people to flatter. I had never made any illusions. I'd always known that my life as an empress would be mainly paced by paperwork and diplomatic discussions, but sometimes it got a bit much. I knew the decisions I was making could change lives and minds, and I hoped that under my rule, my kingdom would prosper, but I could not see the results of my hard work after a mere few weeks. Yeah, I agree. She's gonna have to settle for something. Alright, it's oh my god, my voice. I hope we're near the demo because I'm about to crack, my man. I had to settle for little victories, and sometimes I caught myself hoping for something, anything to disrupt my day. Unfortunately, nothing seemed to be on the cards. Your Grace, would you have a few moments to spare me? Yeah, sure, baby. I mean, hot dude. Started out of my daydreaming. I looked at the unfinished letter in front of me and pushed it aside to give my full attention to the master of murmurs, who removed his hood after closing the door. Of course, I'm all ears. The day a wandering caravan coming from Vargas was attacked by bandits. While they were crossing the Elm Bridge, the merchandise was stolen. The guards were killed and the people in the caravan are now being held hostage to be ransomed. By the four, that's awful. I was now used to be the one who must find solutions and immediately started going through them in my mind. The bridge is a strategic location. It should have been better protected. We'll send men over there, and I'll ask Marjorie to send hers as well. Her men are closer by. They should be able to secure the area and limit the disruptions to that heavily trafficked commercial road, and put a bounty on these bandits. We have to find the hostages and deal with their captors as decisively as possible. Patiently, he let me finish, but as soon as I saw his expression, I realized there was more to it and I frowned. Is there something in particular that I should know about this caravan, Master of Murmurs? Softly he nodded. Amongst the captured people is one of my agents, a master of spying and infiltration. He had been in Vargas for a few months to keep an eye on a family of nobles, and I was urgently coming back with some vital information. Does it have to do with my father's assassination? Do you think Vargas is guilty of? No, at first glance there's no connection. Your father's assassination is still under investigation, even if I have to admit that at the moment we're somewhat stalled. Then what is this about? That's precisely the issue. I don't know. Apparently it was crucial information. My agent has always been excessively prudent. He feared that his mail might be intercepted, and therefore he was reluctant to send me written information, even if our messages are always coded. So you're telling me that one of our spies who infiltrated Vargas has been captured not far from the border while he was coming back with information of the utmost importance, and that you have no clue what that is? Finally, now that the four had decided to grant my wish of a little more excitement, I started regretting wishing for it in the first place. The situation did not bode well. That's correct. Like you, I do find this coincidence suspicious, but we can't be sure of anything. If they just wanted to cover their tracks, they could have simply killed them right there and then, as well as the guards. Maybe they just got rid of the body. We can't exclude the possibility, but we've received a demand of ransom addressed to his family. Like the other four hostages, I don't know. Well, in any case, we have to clear up this situation quickly. Do we have other agents in Vargas who could try to learn what our spy knows? A few, yes, but I'm afraid that they won't be discreet enough if they were to approach the same people. The decision is yours to make. Son of a bitch. It's dangerous, but we'll have to try. Very well, Your Majesty. I'll order them to follow the same tracks as the agent, but they had been there for months. I doubt that they can obtain quick results. I know, but if this info was crucial, we don't have a choice. We have to try. I understand, and for the bandits, what should we do? We're gonna fucking murder them. Do we have any info whatsoever on these bandits? If they are who they pretend to be, they've been active all over the territory and always follow this pattern. But we know little about them. For the time being, we have no idea for their whereabouts we have no idea of their whereabouts or who their leader is. Oh, I'm getting the hiccups, man. Are they trustworthy? I mean, once the ransoms have been paid, will they truly release the hostages? So far, yes, they've kept the word. Really sussy. Oh god. Money, or we'll send men and they'll most likely die. I understand your prudence, but knowing our agent, I think that what he knew was very important. I'll continue to do some research on my side and help the local authorities, but I have very little hope that our agent can make it and shed light on the whole situation. Oh my god, alright, now you give me this info. Money. They're bandits. I swear to you, if they... No issues, we managed to get there. Okay? The situation is serious. Tell me. Are they planning a coup? Unable to sleep, I got up to take in a bit of fresh air at the window. As much as I told myself there was no point in speculating before I got the spy's report, I could not stop the foreboding I felt. What is the spy? What would he say? And I was about to be proved right. Oh my god, what a cliffhanger. Alright everyone, that's Imperial Grace, made by Sinstoria and published by Abiding Games. Wait, am I saying that correctly? I think I fucked that one. No, Abiding Bridge, not Games. Abiding Bridge, developed by Sinstoria, published by Abiding Bridge. Part of the Choose Wisely Festival. I think I'll just put that in the title. Either way, thank you for having me. You know, I told you I'm gonna play your demo for the full thing. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, good luck on whatever you're doing. So if you're new, subscribe, like, comment down below. If you're not new, you know the drill. I'll be seeing you. Bye.